The goddamn Viking Experience. Viking Experience, that's actually a name that a human came up with and thought was a good idea to give to a tag team. That was actually something that happened. I don't understand Vince McMahon's brain. Legit don't understand what the problem was with War Raiders. That's a pretty cool name. It's pretty dope. Their names are now freaking Eric, which is okay. Eric with the K, and Ivar. Ivar. The hell is that? I don't know, man. Rowe and Hanson, cool names. War Raiders, cool name. Why? I don't understand Vince. This is 100% his call. I don't give a damn what Road Dogg on Twitter is trying to say, defending Vince, because that's what he does on Twitter. Oh, maybe they wanted to change. Dude, nobody in their life has ever said, I want to be called the Viking Experience. Nobody has ever said that. I guarantee it. Anyways, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Elite Era Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Mystic, and today we're going to be covering the Superstar Shakeup edition of Raw. Pretty eventful show. Overall, I guess I'd give it a thumbs up. Thumbs in the middle. It's more maybe a thumbs up show, but that War Raiders thing just pissed me off. Maybe thumbs in the middle. It wasn't a bad show. It's a little bit eventful. We're gonna be covering the show from top to bottom and talking about the moves from SmackDown, NXT, and 205 Live to Raw. And then we're gonna make a little bit of predictions for who might be going over to SmackDown tomorrow night. But first of all, we got to start with the opening segment, which had Stephanie McMahon come out and basically just talk about the Superstar Shakeup and stuff. She introduced Shane McMahon, and then they were just in the ring talking about the shakeup for a little bit until the Miz music hit, and the Miz came out, attacked Shane from behind. And he beat him up with a chair. He somehow ended up bloody. I don't know. I didn't really see what Shane did. Maybe Shane with those famous punches. I'm convinced Shane was never told that wrestling's fake. I think, or scripted, whatever you want to call it. I don't think Vince has told him yet. I don't think he thinks Shane's ready. I don't think he's ready to break the news to him. So maybe Shane just hit Miz too hard in the head and busted him open or something. But anyways, Miz came out. He beat him up with a chair, ran him off. And then on commentary, Michael Cole, I think it was, just says the Miz is now part of the Raw roster, which is, I guess, pretty cool. I like him on SmackDown, but he's been on Raw before, and he was cool there. And it's nice to see him back on there. Now, Miz, I think, might be the only person who's been drafted every single time in these Superstar Shakeups. I think this might be the third one. I think they did one in 2017. That was after the draft. No, they did. That's when the Miz first went to Raw, and then last year he came back to SmackDown, and now he's going to Raw. So this is the third Superstar Shakeup, and he's been shucking up at every single year. And whatever brand he goes to tends to be the better year. They call it the Miz. It's either the Miz luck or the Kevin Owens curse. Anytime Kevin Owens on a show, it's Kevin Owens and Miz have never been on the same brand. So every time every time Kevin's on a show, that show sucks. And then every time Miz is on a show, that show is good. Which you've seen as Raw has been awful. Actually, Kevin came back for SmackDown this few months ago, but that doesn't count. He wasn't there since the beginning, I guess. But SmackDown's just been way better than Raw in the last year, and the Miz has been there. But he comes to Raw. Hopefully, maybe he goes for the Universal title or something. Maybe he goes for the IC. Whatever he does, I'm sure it's gonna be entertaining, and he's just gonna make Raw better, because Raw, usually on a week-to-week basis is pretty boring. It's a snooze fest. There's about like 45 minutes to an hour of good content, but that's in a 3-hour show, which at least there's something there, but 1 out of 3 is just not very good odds. Anyways, we go that into a six-man tag team match, which was teased for the main event, which was Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, and a mystery partner from, I guess, SmackDown. I guess they would tease it from the Shake-Up versus the heel mid-card. Baron, Lashley, and Drew, I think it was, those guys. Hopefully those guys get separated in the Superstar Shake-Up, because I don't ever want to see that group of three ever again in my life. But yeah, they teased that match for the main event. And then we came to the 8-man tag team match, where we had, well, first of all, the tag champions, Hawkins and Ryder, came out, and their partners were Ricochet and Aleister Black, who have also been confirmed for Raw. They're on Raw now. Kind of hoping they would have been separated so they wouldn't be a tag team anymore. Put like Aleister Black on SmackDown and keep Ricochet on Raw or something like that. But I guess they're going to keep them as a team for a little bit more. Actually, I really would have wanted them to be separated, because looking ahead in a month, we have Money in the Bank, and that's, I think those two just in that match would be fantastic. Speaking of Money in the Bank, I just random shower thought that occurred to me the other day. I was just thinking about the WrestleMania Battle Royals, and how close Money in the Bank is after WrestleMania. Why don't they just make the winner be part of the match? You know, they have a men's and a women's Battle Royal. They have a men's and a women's Money in the Bank. They could just put those winners in the match and have that match actually mean something. You know, if I guess this year Braun would have won, he could be in the match. He doesn't seem like he's gonna be doing much in the next few weeks anyway. So just put him in the Money in the Bank match following that win. But anyways, back to the 8-man tag match. We had that team of 4, the tag champs, and Ricochet and Black, and then we had their opponents, the Revival, and then the Viking Experience. They look like goofballs too. The Viking Experience came out. Eric and Ivar. God, commentary was just awful to hear this. I could just hear it. I can imagine Vince yelling in their ear, "Oh, they're not from NXT. They're the Viking Experience, War Raiders. No, don't call them the War Raiders." That old man gruff voice that dude has. I can just imagine, because Corey had a line that was something like, "Oh, you may know them as a different name, but here they are the Viking Experience, Eric and Ivar." Just, I just don't understand. I don't get it, but I guess they're on Raw. They're good wrestlers. They're really, really good wrestlers, but you just can't. You can't succeed with the gimmick and name like that. You just can't. You can't be freaking Vikings. They sound like Viking cosplayers. The Experience, they literally sound like cosplayers instead of like actual cool Viking dudes like they were in NXT. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of their character, I still thought their gimmick was pretty solid. But the Viking cosplayers, no, that's trash. Especially with the name like Ivar, kind of. I don't know. I think Vince just Vikings, and he came up with these names. Like, I just don't understand Vince anymore. But anyways, the Viking Experience and the Revival got the win after. I'm just gonna call them War Raiders. After the War Raiders hit Fallout on Kurt Hawkins, so they pinned the tag team champs, one half of them. That's what a way to book your tag champs on this show, as we'll get into later. But whatever, I guess, Hawkins is used to losing, so it doesn't really hurt him that much. Well, following that, we got a video package for Cedric Alexander. He's going to be coming to Raw from 205 Live. That's awesome. Second guy to do it, or third guy, I guess, if you want to call Count Leo Rush. But he's more in a manager role. He doesn't do a lot of wrestling. But yeah, Cedric's coming up to Raw. Pretty good. There's not much for him to do in 205 Live. He was champion for a long time. He's become pretty much a stale babyface on there. And this could be good for him. He's a really good. His character is non-existent. He's bland, but his wrestling is really, really good, and he could be useful on the roster. Excited to see what comes from him. And it's a pretty big deal coming from 205 Live. They mentioned it a lot in commentary. You can come from SmackDown, Raw, 205 Live, or NXT, which makes me think. Well, they didn't mention NXT UK, but I hope they include that next tomorrow night on SmackDown, because there's a certain someone I want to see called up from NXT UK. But they mentioned 205 Live explicitly, and they had one here, so maybe they're gonna have another one. Hopefully, Buddy Murphy to SmackDown. That'd be fantastic. Maybe if he can do both shows for a little bit, if he finishes up his feud with Tony Nese, and then Tony Nese can just carry that division. Because Buddy's been there a while too, and Buddy was champ for a long time. He's pretty much done everything there. It'd be nice to see him come up to SmackDown Live. Sorry, there were a few yawns. Pretty late as usual. But yeah, it'd be cool seeing him on SmackDown Live. He's a really, really good wrestler. I really like the way he wrestles. His matches are just the way he wrestles. It seems like he puts everything into every move he does. Everything he has is impactful. Everything he does is impactful. I just love the way he wrestles. But video package for Cedric Alexander. Give it a few weeks. He's just gonna be Cedric. Hopefully he succeeds on Raw. But anyways, we move into the next match, which was Finn Balor, IC champ, current IC champ Finn Balor. And he is challenged by Andrade with Zelina Vega. So those are another two new members of the Raw roster from SmackDown Live. And these two just had a great match because it's Andrade Cien Almas, not just Andrade. I don't care what they say. Versus Finn Balor. It was Andrade Almas versus Finn. You just can't go wrong with the matchup like that. They're fantastic. A lot of cool spots they did in that match. And it's just, you have to just see the match because those two, they're just really, really, really solid workers. And then Andrade's rival shows up a little bit later because in the next segment we had Elias, who just, he's putting himself forward with the appearances. He resurrected the dead man, and he brought back the Doctor of Thugonomics or whatever, because of his performance. But he just gets interrupted by Rey Mysterio, who takes him out. He botches a Hurricane Rana, but it's whatever. Who cares if Rey Mysterio botches anything? The dude's 40 years old and he moves like he's 18. The dude moves literally better than me. Which isn't much to say, just because I'm 18 doesn't mean I'm athletic or anything like he is. I'm pretty sure he's going to move better than me when he's 80. But anyways, yeah, that dude, he's just fantastic, and no one cares if he botches. Who cares? That dude has clout in the business. He can do what he wants. But anyways, he took out Elias here, made him run, and then Lars Sullivan came out and he destroyed Rey Mysterio. He hit the freak accident and then a power bomb. So he didn't hit the diving headbutt here. I don't know if poor little Rey could have taken that, but hopefully he doesn't take that because, diving headbutts look not so good. Just look at Chris Benoit. Hopefully Lars just doesn't do that move at all on the main roster. Don't know why he's ever did it in NXT. But he takes out Rey Mysterio, who is another legend. He's been having this pattern of attacking legends. Maybe he could be the next legend killer. Maybe they're doing that with him. But he did take out Kurt Angle last week. And then he took out the Hardy Boys on SmackDown. And now he's taking out Rey. So, Lars Sullivan and Rey Mysterio are both on the Raw roster now. So, I guess those are two pretty cool guys. Lars, interested to see where he goes. I don't think he's going to be part of the main event scene. I don't really see how he gets factored in there. But I guess we'll just have to see who gets sent to SmackDown. And then we'll be able to tell who's in contention for Seth Rollins' title. Because right now he doesn't have anyone lined up. Besides maybe Drew or Roman. But maybe they'll both leave to SmackDown. So Lars, I could see him maybe not really squashing, but beating Finn. Maybe for the IC title. We'll just have to wait and see what he does. Maybe he'll just carry on with this legend killer gimmick. And just body other legends. And then Rey's just a good hand. He's just dope. Hopefully he has more matches with Andrade because those matches are always really, really, really good. Hopefully they have like a 2-hour Iron Man match on Raw or whatever. But next match we had the Usos versus Roode and Gable. Now this is a change that needed to happen. The Usos, they've done everything. They've been the tag team division on SmackDown. They are that tag team division. The Usos, in my opinion, are the best tag team in the world. Yeah, including you, Young Bucks. But I haven't seen much Young Bucks, so maybe they're better. Or the Lucha Bros, they're really, really good too. I've seen just a few of them, just clips here and there on Twitter and stuff. But for all I know, they're better. But I really love the Usos. Everything about them, I think they're fantastic wrestlers. I think they are a tag team. They just feel like a tag team. It seems like each one knows exactly what the other one is thinking and doing. They just have I guess they have the perfect chemistry, which makes sense for brothers. But it's just, they've done everything they could on SmackDown. It's time for them to come over to Raw and try to give some CPR to the tag team division over here, because it's god awful. And maybe they pick up those belts and they bring prestige to the tag team division again. And they had a pretty good match here with Gable and Rude. They hit the super kicks, stereo super kicks on Gable, double splash to pick the win. So very welcome change. Something I expected, but still something I'm really excited to see. Next up, we had a Moment of Bliss segment with Sami Zayn, who just gets a monster pop, and he has such a cool. Sami Zayn's theme song is so good, so singable for crowds, and that's exactly what the crowd does. They hit the they just cheer along with the song, and then Sammy's dancing like a goof. Sammy looks absolutely hilarious, dancing around to his theme. He sits down with Alexa, and after his theme stops, and then he just plays his theme again. He starts dancing again like a goof. He just gets a massive ovation from the crowd, because of course they're in Canada, so his what was it, Montreal, I think, or Quebec. I really can't remember, but that's his hometown, so of course he's gonna get such a monster reaction here. And then he calls him fish in a barrel. He just talks about how he has them in the palm of their hands, and he just starts an Olay chant. Of course he does. And then he gets everyone behind that too, and then he just cuts a pretty decent promo on continuing off from last week and on SmackDown, of how ungrateful the fans are, how critical they are, how they're projecting all their negative values on Sami, and how he just won't accept it. He won't accept the fans. He hates how they're critics, but they can't critique themselves and stuff like that. And then he just says, Montreal sucks, and then I'll see you in hell, and he drops the mic and he goes away. And Sami have now confirmed to be on Raw as well. Which is great, because Kevin Owens didn't show up on this episode, which means he's not on Raw, which means he is finally separated. He's finally on a different brand than Sami Zayn is. Finally, they've been together since Sami debuted in 2016, I believe. So great to see them separated. Just give them a few years apart, and then you can revisit that feud whenever, when it's fresh. But next we had a tag team match. So I'm not a big fan of the Iconics. The Iconics, they have go away heat with me when they cut promos, because I think their voices are really annoying. I just can't stand to listen to their promos because of their voices, especially when they screech. Iconics, it just makes me want to start my ears out. But I still think they're good champions, because they're the most tag team. They're the most women's tag team on that entire company, even more than Io Shirai and Kairi Sane. The Iconics are a tag team, a legitimate tag team, so it makes sense for them to be the champions. I was just listening to a podcast earlier today for Lillian Garcia's podcast, and it's just listening to them. They do everything together. They came into this business together. They've been since developmental together, so it's just they are rightful champions because of how much of a tag team they are. But apparently they're not very good wrestlers, because they got beat by Bayley and freaking Naomi, who hop shit from SmackDown. Makeshift tag team of Bayley and Naomi pinned the tag team champions in a minute and 30 seconds, which is just embarrassing. Why? I don't get it. Who gets the rub? on commentary they're talking about Sasha's vague or cryptic tweets or whatever. So I guess that's all kayfabe. Uh, Shout out to everyone who reported that. Who was Ryan said in Pro Wrestling Sheet something about Bayley and Sasha throwing a fit while laying down on the floor of the locker room. Yeah, I just don't understand why anyone believes that. They're actually grown adults. Just imagine a 20-something-year-old on the floor crying just because they lost. They'll have opportunities again, of course. I mean, I'm not saying Sasha can't be frustrated. I'd be frustrated too in her position. From all accounts, she's very ambitious. She wants to do more. She wants to be a bigger part of the company. So it sucks that she's not champion, but still, I just, she's a professional. I don't see her acting like that. But I guess all this stuff is kayfabe. Or even if it wasn't kayfabe originally, they're implementing it into the storyline, and hopefully something good comes out of this. But Naomi on Raw, whatever. It's going to be interesting to see what happens on the SmackDown side because they desperately need women now. But it's dumb. Iconics shouldn't have lost. It just made no sense. Then we got a video of a goddamn puppet in a box, and that's all I'm going to say about that because that's all the attention it deserves. Bray Wyatt, if that's your best idea, go back to NXT and think of a new idea because what the hell are you doing with this puppet in a box? And then after that, we had EC3 versus Braun, which never actually started because Braun just killed him. He killed him, beat him around the ring, and hit a choke slam on him off the stage through like some stage equipment and stuff. And EC3 on Raw confirmed now too, but poor EC3, that dude's literally a joke now. I don't understand why they killed him like that. You just didn't have to do him like that. Again, I just don't understand. I don't understand why you did that. Why you gotta use EC3 that way? He's cool. Dude's got a cool gimmick. He's he looks good. He can talk. Don't waste him like this. Poor EC3. We get like a graphic or something like that of Eric Young coming to Raw, and he's coming alone. So Sanity gets split up, which not a huge fan of Sanity either, so I don't care. Actually, this might be for the better because unless they keep Alexander Wolf and Killian Daniels as a tag team, out of Sanity, I really don't like them without Nikki Cross. But the parts I did like of Sanity in NXT, which I didn't like them that much in NXT either. The parts I did like were Nikki Cross and Killian Dane. Killian Dane in that ladder match last year at TakeOver New Orleans, that dude was so good in that match. He's awesome. He's an awesome big man wrestler, and hopefully he does some cool stuff. But Eric Young on Raw, I don't see him being more than just a guy they put out to get beat every few weeks, once a month or whatever. But after that, we had Becky Lynch, Becky Two Champs, have two belts. Becky defeating Ruby Riott and the entire Riott Squad basically with the disarmer. She just beat up everyone afterwards. It was a short match, but it was pretty fun. It's cool seeing Becky just beat everybody up and be the man, and it's good to see her as a strong champion. And then we had Natalya come out and congratulate Becky, and then just tells her how she's been underappreciated. She feels underappreciated, and she thinks she deserves a shot at that title. And Becky just cuts from how she understands how it feels to feel that way, and she's willing to give Natalya a chance because she understands how it feels to be overlooked. And then Lacey Evans comes out, calls people nasties, and she sets up a number one contenders match between her and Natalya, which happens immediately after this, which pretty fun match. And Lacey hits a women's right. She knocks out Natalya, and she hits a pop up moonsault. Pretty cool. When it's how's she done? She's sitting on the top rope on the turnbuckle with her feet on the second rope, facing Natalya on the ground, and then she just stands up. She jumps up onto the top and hits a moonsault immediately. This one, I just always think back when I see stuff like this. I think back to that spot in last year in a match between Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. It was in Canada for the IC title, And Kevin Owens did the same move, and the way he hit that, literally, it's like the most flawless moonsault I've ever seen in my life. He popped up onto that rope, and in one swift movement, transitioned into a moonsault. I don't understand how that was physically possible, how he did that, but that was fantastic. But Lacey does a little bit more of a slow motion of that. She pops up, she like gets like a little bit of a half a second on the top, and then hits the moonsault. But nonetheless, that was a cool looking moonsault that she hits on Natalya, and she picks up the win, and she becomes the number one. I guess of course Lacey's on Raw now because she becomes the number one contender for the Raw Women's title. Only the Raw, I guess. It's not for both titles. I assume Becky's gonna have a challenger tomorrow. Tomorrow night it's gonna be introduced, and then we head into our main event, which revealed our mystery partner and the biggest name that got shaken up to Raw, which was AJ Styles, as you can see right there on the layout. He Reigns and Rollins picked up the win over the mid card of Evil with a phenomenal forearm on Lashley for the pin. Fun match, fun main event. 6-man tags are always fun like this, especially with you got the type of guys he got in there with Drew, AJ, Roman, and Seth. Bobby Lashley and Baron were there too, I guess. But yeah, cool match. Cool to see AJ. Saw on Twitter, AJ got Randy evicted AJ. He didn't pay rent. Rent was due. He didn't pay up. So I guess it's Randy's house now, and AJ's going to try to find a new neighborhood and a new house and Raw. So cool to see him over there, and I assume, he's a big name. I think he could be really good for his challenger for Seth. But anyways, that was the show. Like I said in the beginning, thumbs in the middle show. A lot of cool stuff. A lot of things that excites me for the future, except the future of the Vikings, because I hope they don't have a future, because I hope they become the War Raiders again. But anyways, let's just talk about the people that came over to Raw, and then make a little bit of predictions for SmackDown. I'm just gonna go off the names here and just say what I think is gonna happen. AJ Styles came over from Raw. Main event, that dude's probably gonna go for the Universal title. Usos, they'll be tag champs in a few months. Aleister Black and Ricochet, I think they'll be separated in a few months, and then they will become strong contenders for the mid card. And then Viking Experience, God, I hate that name. War Raiders. I guess they could be tag champs. They did pin the tag team champions. Maybe they can have feet over. Maybe they can have it before the Usos, and the Usos take it off of them. Almas, I can see him as IC champion immediately. Rey Mysterio, I can see him fighting Almas for that title. Naomi, I can see her being beat by Becky. Same with Zelina, and of course Zelina is also Andrade's manager. Lacey Evans, of course, we already know where she is. She's in the main event picture right now with Becky. Lars, he hopefully kills more legends. Miz has this great feud with Shane, and then EC3 EC3 hopefully he's not an embarrassment for the rest of his life. And then Eric Young is just there, and Sami Zayn is cool too. I guess I don't really see what he's going to be doing. I guess just keep on bad mouthing the fans for now. But I'm just gonna go over a few predictions for SmackDown, because they have to make an equal trade. You can't just take away AJ, one of their big players from SmackDown, and not give anything back. So who do I think they're gonna be trading for AJ? Well, another member of that 6-man tag. Who did we see team up? Maybe potentially for the last time, we saw another team up of Roman and Seth, because maybe we won't see it for long, because I think Roman is going to go over to SmackDown. And that's mainly because Vince McMahon, I think it was on the SmackDown preview, announced something, the biggest get that SmackDown's ever had. And of course, Vince would never put anybody over like that unless it's Brock or Roman, and Brock couldn't care less to show up. So I think it's going to be Roman because of the Fox move, and he's going to be big for ratings and stuff. A tag team, the Revival. I think Revival are going to be traded over to SmackDown because Usos. That's a fair trade, I guess. They're both really good tag teams. NXT call-ups. I'm hoping, Paige did mention she's going to bring over a tag team. I'm hoping it's Kairi Sane and Io Shirai. That'd be awesome. more people from the women's roster. I guess I could see maybe Dana Brooke and Mickie James. Dana's been getting a little bit of a push, I guess. Maybe send her over to SmackDown. Mickie James, she was over there already, but I guess send her over there too. They just need bodies on that roster over there. Kyrie and Io can come up, bring up maybe Candice LeRae from NXT. And then maybe some mid-card guys they can trade over from Raw. I guess you can trade over maybe, I guess sucks to call him mid-card now, but Braun, you could shift him over. I guess if the monster role's taken. Lashley, I could actually really see him going over to SmackDown. Elias is such a Raw act. I don't see him leaving there. I think Vince really loves him on Raw. So maybe Elias, but I don't plan on it because his segments take up time, and Raw just has an extra hour that SmackDown doesn't. So I guess I'd like to see him on Raw more. And the big one, Pete Dunne. I really, really, really want to see Pete Dunne on the main roster. Yeah, I just really do. He is just such an awesome dude, such an awesome wrestler. I hope he gets called up to the main roster, and if it wasn't Raw tonight, even better, because SmackDown's a better show. I want to see him on SmackDown. Imagine just like Pete Dunne versus Kofi. Endless possibilities. It's awesome. I want to see him there, and then the aforementioned Buddy Murphy from 205 Live. So those are some wrestlers I can see coming over to SmackDown. I guess we'll see if my predictions are right tomorrow. But anyways, guys, that has been this episode of the Elite Era podcast, where we have been reviewing Raw, which is, like I said, that was a middle show. But anyways, come back tomorrow for the SmackDown recap, the review. And if you like this kind of content, leave a like, subscribe, leave a comment on this video, and share this video. Tell other people to just, spread awareness of the channel. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Peace out.